In the last 10 years, Reaper has been gaining more and more of a reputation of being a very solid DAW to use in your home studio. It's the DAW of my choice that I've been using for 10 years. I think it's extremely powerful. It's been the choice for a lot of home studio owners as they've used it to create their projects and albums, and even some pros are taking it on. But just because you're a home studio musician doesn't mean you can't use Reaper like a pro. So let's dive in. I'm going to give you 4 simple tips to use Reaper like a pro in your home studio so that you can harness the most power you can out of the DAW. So let's go ahead and dive into the DAW and I'll show you those 4 simple tips. Okay, so you can see my DAW here. The first tip I'm going to give you to using Reaper like a pro is track stacks or folders. Sometimes people call it busing, but basically it allows you to send multiple tracks. For example, I have all my drums here to one track folder to control it with just one simple fader. So in this pop track I have here, these are my drums. If I solo them out here, you will just hear all the drum tracks. Let me play it for you. And notice I have all my drum tracks under this folder going to the one simple drum track. This allows me to harness and control all the drums and add processing to all the individual tracks at once instead of having to spread the processing across 26 different tracks. So on this drum bus, I have this FX virtual mix rack, and this is doing processing, including the virtual channel, a high lift, and some compression, and I'm applying it to all of the drum tracks. This is a really helpful tool because it allows me to process things all together as groups, especially when you have lots of different kinds of tracks. You can do this not just for drums, for bass. I have a bass guitar and a bass synth, and they all go to this bass bus here. I even have sub buses, so you can do subfolders where you have your bass guitar going to one bus here. Let me solo it. I have a bass synth track here, and they all go to this bass folder. So I can control all the faders at once, but process them differently. For the bass guitar, I used a virtual mix rack and a limiter and had them all go to this bass track folder. In Reaper, you can simply select Shift. Let's say if I wanted to add a track, I can add Shift, move it, and it's now a part of a track folder in your project. You can see I did that for guitars, acoustic guitars, the pads, the synths, the vocals. You're going to want to utilize this feature to allow you to process a bunch of different tracks together. So don't have all your tracks just spread out. Start putting them in folders and organizing them. It's a very powerful feature in Reaper. The second way to use Reaper like a pro is their various automation functions. So if I go down to my vocal track, for example, you can see here, if we click on trim, we will show you all the different processings and automation effects that I'm doing. For example, I'm using volume automation. So if you click trim and go to track envelopes and click volume, we can actually change the volume of the vocal track throughout the entire mix. So you don't have to rely on just setting your fader in one place and hoping it works. You can actually change that fader throughout the entire track. For example, here heading into the intro, I am adjusting the vocal slightly to allow it not be too loud. And then as we build into the final chorus, I make the vocal louder and louder so it can sit on top of the mix. Let me show you. If I were to solo the vocal here and bring down the vocal, how it affects the volume of it across the entire track.
Do you wanna run the jungle, baby? Do you wanna run?
Now let me play the whole track to show you how you can get a perfect balance for each section of your song. So you can see how that volume automation function allows me to get the perfect balance across my entire track. We don't just have to do this for volume. We can do this with plugins and effects. If I go to the trim here, you can see all my different plugins are active. I could go to my reverb, I could go to my delay, and I could change that for the different parts of the track. You can see here for my Valhalla Supermassive reverb, let me pull that up. That's this track here. I have a mix knob that I am automating here. You can see the mix is way low until we get to this bridge part, and I bring the mix of the reverb up until it reaches its max in the final chorus. So you can listen here. The reverb is down almost at 4% mix, almost none, and it slowly comes in. Let me solo the vocal so you can hear that difference.
Wanna run run through the jungle, baby? Do you wanna run through the jungle, yeah? Do you wanna go where you never gone before?
So you can see I can make that bridge sound very, very dry in the beginning and then bring up the automation of that reverb to make it wetter as it goes along. A very powerful tool. The third tip to using Reaper like a pro is take advantage of their stock plugins. They have so many amazing stock plugins. People think, oh, I have to buy all my plugins. I have to buy all these waves, slate. I got to get all this stuff. And yeah, those things are useful. But Reaper comes with an awesome suite of stock plugins. Let me just take you to my lead vocal here. So I have something called Reattune. Reattune is a very powerful tuner plugin that has both auto-tune and manual pitch correction functions built in. Incredible for the price of Reaper and the fact that you can give this a free trial shot, because tuning plugins can be very, very expensive. So let me solo the lead vocal and I can show you how it sounds and how actually this will use manual correction and track the pitch and allow you to change the pitch and tune it in real time.
Do you wanna run through the jungle, baby? So
we can see the notes that the vocalist is singing and actually draw in and change the notes or modify it or even create harmonies for what the singer is singing. Very, very powerful. We can also come in Reaper and use all their various stock plugins such as EQ, there's compressors, there's even delay and reverb and saturation. You can even do some basic mastering in Reaper as well and use their limiter plugin. Let me show you. Let me go to the mixer. I could even throw a stock limiter, relimit, on the back here and begin mastering my project immediately using just Reaper stock plugins. Very, very powerful. Test these out and use them a ton in Reaper before deciding to purchase additional third-party plugins. I think you'll be surprised with how powerful these things can be. And the last tip to using Reaper like a pro is using track-specific plugins. And I'm going to show you what that is. So let's go to my saxophone track here. Let me solo this real quick so you can hear what it is. Okay, it's more like a windpipe situation, but I can go in, I can go to item properties, and I can select something called Take FX. And what this does is I can actually apply a plugin directly to a waveform on the track. So I don't have to apply it to the track. I could apply it to a separate waveform on the track. So I could edit this here. Let's say I just wanted the back half of this saxophone to have an effect. I could double click on it, select Take FX, and I could add, let's just say we wanted to add a delay plugin to this. I could go delay. We could select stock delay. And we could add just a delay effect to this waveform here. So let's say I went to basic 5 tap ping pong. So you can see the effect change as we move to this waveform. I could even disable it and chop it up and allow different bits to have that effect. This is a very, very powerful tool that you can apply to any track in Reaper, whether it's EQ, compression, whatever. You can apply it to any track in the mix. I do this all the time. If I want to quickly add an effect to a vocal, I just select the Take FX, add it to the vocal. Now we have a different effect on that track. Also, it'll have a little FX icon above it showing you, hey, there was a little plugin that you added to this specific waveform. Very, very powerful. So those are 4 simple tips to using Reaper like a pro. It's an incredibly powerful DAW that I highly recommend for homestudio owners. Now, if you want to get some free templates and themes that I have for Reaper, just go to the description box down below. I have a free collection of Reaper templates to make it look like Logic, Pro Tools, any DAW you're familiar with. The one I usually use in my videos is this Pro Tools theme. It's very, very powerful and looks amazing. So go ahead and download that in the description. And if you're looking for help in your home studio to improve your recordings, whether it's using Reaper, getting better mixes, just to make your music sound better, go ahead and contact me down below. I'd love to help you out. Thank you so much for watching. Anyways, I will see you guys next time.